my way down to a shop in Temecula. I'm going to dyno the car in a few different ways to get a baseline and get a few comparison runs. I know what the car has done in other dynos since I've lent it out to a couple companies and they've dynoed a before and after their products. But as everyone knows, every single dyno reads differently. In the future, I can go back to the same dyno that I'm going to right now and do a comparison run. So see what gains are from as close to stock as I am right now to wherever I end up in the future. I never got a baseline with the car completely stock. Never had the time or the opportunity to get it done, especially since I put the exhaust on literally before I even drove the car home the day I bought it. It was installed at the shop at the dealership. So what I'm going to do though is I'm going to get a baseline run with the JunBL valves closed, which should mimic similar to the stock. It'll still be a little more flowing than stock form, but it should mimic it pretty closely. I'll open up the valves, see if there's any difference whatsoever between valves open and valves closed. I know the sound is different, but is there really a performance difference? I don't know yet. So I'll do those 2 runs. Then I have 3 more sets of runs that I want to do today. I have 3 of the 4 tuning boxes that I know of. I don't have the race chip with me, but I do have the lap 3 chip. I also have the Berger Motorsports JB4 unit, which is currently kind of like in a JB1 form because it only ties into the map sensors. And I will also be doing a couple of runs with the Keendesign Chip. Theirs is more or less a prototype box. It's the first one they have. Just gonna see. They all do about the same thing. They all tie into the same systems and do their things in their own way though. So I want to see if one has a bit of an edge over the other. Very possible that they all end up exactly the same. Very possible that one edges out over another, but just wanted to do a I guess you could say unbiased comparison of the 3 on what they do, on how the car performs, if there's any difference mid-range, if there's any difference up top. I'll be recording a few of the runs. I'll also obviously upload with images on what the car did numbers wise. I'll also put that in the description of the video. Definitely get a mount so this doesn't move around and the sun's following me. There we go. So yeah, that's what I'll be doing. I'm almost there. I'm a bit early, but that's fine. Yeah, let's see what happens. Alright, so a little update before I go into the runs and results and all that. I have 2 lap 3 chips, one that I've been using and another one that I kept set aside. It was for a bit of a side project I was going to work on. Never got around to it. Well, when I left in the morning and I grabbed the chip off the shelf, I grabbed the wrong one. So I grabbed the one that wasn't tested, the one I hadn't been using. Turns out, I don't know if the wiring harness on it is bad or if the chip itself is bad, but it gave me issues on the dyno, so I have no results for lap 3. And I think that something was up versus me not plugging it in right, because it wasn't making any boost at all, and it was shifting hard in between gears, and eventually it even gave us a code. The following video, it only contains stock versus exhaust versus Keendesign and the JB1 from Berger Motorsports. I did set up an appointment for next week, so I'll have to do another update video showing the lap 3 results. Going to the same dyno, same time in the morning, just have to go a week later. So I'll be taking care of that, so I guess that'll be 1 week from today. It should be about the same as the other ones, but the purpose of everything was to get exact numbers, so which is why I want to go back. I want to run it again anyways and see what happens. So that's it, just a small update. Onto the dynos. So the first dyno is going to be a baseline run, as stock as I could get the vehicle. I do have a JunBL exhaust, but what I did to mimic the stock exhaust setup is I closed the variable valves. So that's to get it as close to stock. It goes through the exhaust goes through a traditional muffler. Then when the valves open up, they go through a secondary straight through muffler. So here is that run. So on this next run, it's going to be with the valves open. So as free-flowing as the exhaust is, there's still no intakes on this vehicle. I don't have any intercooler or anything at all. This is basically a stock Stinger GT with JunBL with the electronically variable control valve. So here you go. Notice the difference in sound is quite a bit. In the cabin you can't hear that much of a difference, but standing next to the car in the dyno you could definitely hear the exhaust, the difference in exhaust note. So that was the run with the exhaust valves open. On the chart you'll see the car picked up about 10 horsepower, 321 to the wheels. And torque wise, it also picked up torque. It went from 356 all the way to 380. So it's a considerable gain all the way across the board. A lot of it was, a lot of the torque was picked up early, but it maintained all the way across the power band. And here's that chart for that. So next up is the Keendesign chip. Pretty big increase on this one. You guys will take a look. Here's the run. Alright, on that run, guys, the car picked up 45, a little bit over 45 horsepower to the wheels, and about 48 foot-pounds of torque. It went to from 321, 380 from the previous run to 366 wheel horsepower and 428 torque. Picked up all the way across the power band, did what it's supposed to do. So the car peaks at just about 14 psi, but as it goes up the RPM range, it actually tapers down, and it tapered down to just about 9 psi right at about before the shift point. It was right about 9, a little bit over 9 psi. With the Keendesign chip, PSI did peak at 17.4, 17.5, but just the same, because it mimics the stock boost levels, it tapered down to about a 13, 12 or 13 towards the towards redline. And here's the graph for that one, guys. Alright guys, so the last one's going to be the Burger Motorsports JB4 chip, or tune box, whatever they call it exactly. Alright, so one thing to take note of, guys, is that even though it is a JB4 unit, it's basically in JB1 form right now because it is still in development. They don't have everything set up to officially call it a JB4, so currently it does the same thing that all the other chips do, and that is just change the boost level. It doesn't do anything else with any of the other sensors. Okay, so the numbers for the Burger Motorsports JB, I'm going to call it JB1 unit because that's essentially what it is at this point. 367.3 wheel horsepower. It edged out the Keendesign box by 1 horsepower, and torque is at 433, which, if I'm not mistaken, was about 5 more. About 7 more wheel torque than the Keendesign box, and here's the graph for that, guys. Now, as I said it earlier, guys, I grabbed the wrong lap 3 chip. I didn't grab the one I've been testing with. I grabbed the wrong one. Unfortunately, that one had some issues with it, so I couldn't run it the dyno. I'll do that next week. So that's almost all the comparisons that I have. I did one more comparison while I was there because I was curious about something. I decided to close up the valves on the exhaust, again, to mimic a stock exhaust system, and run it with the chip to see numbers wise. And I have the numbers for that as well. That's actually where it becomes a little bit more impressive. Now, I think as this vehicle gets modified a little further, it's going to change a little bit to where it's not going to make it as big of a difference, but with the exhaust in, that was a motorcycle, with the exhaust in, with the valves closed, mimicking, like I said, the stock exhaust system, it still did 363.6 horsepower and 426 foot-pounds of torque. Now, let me just look at this graph one more time here. So with the valves closed, it's crazy. It only made a difference of about 3 horsepower to the wheels loss, and 2 foot-pounds of torque, which is a very, very, very minimal difference. So essentially, like I said, you know what that means is you can put a chip on a completely stock car and be right about the 360 horsepower, 425 torque number, which is pretty impressive for a car that's got nothing else done to it. Pretty soon there'll be intakes on this car, intercoolers in the works as well, a few more things. I got something coming up next week after the lap 3 tune, that the car's gonna be dropped off at a different shop for a few weeks. This time I don't know how long I'm not going to have it, so there won't be a video for a while. There won't be any changes to the car for a while. But as soon as something is different, I will upload then too. Like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you guys want to keep seeing all this Stinger stuff. And if you guys have any questions, drop them in the comments, and I'll be sure to answer them as quick as I can.